well, wait a minute, where did all this climate apocalypse nonsense come from? Well, it was fundamentally pushed by the Club of Rome types starting in the 1960s who said, there's too many people on the planet. We're all going to starve to death by the year 2000. Commodity prices are going to shoot through the roof because there's not enough of everything. Right? That was, what the hell's his name? Paul Ehrlich wrote The Population Bomb, and he made a famous bet with Simon, Julian Simon. Sure, it's Julian. Might be Herbert. Guys, excuse me for
Thursday. Look it up.
Yeah. I think it's Julian. Anyways, a polymath, Simon, brilliant man, an absolutely brilliant man. He bet Ehrlich that he was not only wrong but opposite. He said to Ehrlich, "You pick a bundle of commodities.
Yeah.
We'll bet 20 years in the future." It was something like 20 years. I bet the prices go down. You think they'll go through the stratosphere. They made a bet, famous bet, $200, not a lot. Well, Simon collected because by the year 2000, not only was there not mass starvation, there were far fewer hungry people in the world, and all the commodity prices went down because that zero-sum Malthusian view, that's like, you're an idiot biologist if you're a Malthusian. Why? So Malthus was the clergyman who proclaimed that unconstrained, a population will grow until it consumes more than the available resources, and then it will collapse.
Okay.
It's like, well, that works for yeast in a petri dish.
Okay.
We're not yeast. We learn. It's the wrong biological model, and not just a little bit. Like, it's seriously wrong. There's nothing more brutal than a zero-sum game ideology. There's not enough for everyone. Oh yeah, really? Is that a fact? There's not, eh? So who doesn't get what they need? Well, the bloody greens, though, nature worshippers, it's like, well, let's screw the poor. They don't need the wealth we have in the West. They don't get fossil fuels. It's inexcusable.
So who's pushing it and why are they pushing it?
Who's pushing it?
The climate change.
Cynical anti-humanists possessed by the resentful spirit of Cain, socialists, communists, and people who worship nature. And I mean that in a very specific sense. I mean, look, the Irish government is planning to cull 200,000 cows. Why? To change the weather. This is where we're at. The nature worshippers sacrifice cattle to change the weather. Right. We're right back in pagan times. And they are definitely nature worshippers. It's like, this word, the environment. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
The environment. That's Gaia. That's the new female deity that we sacrifice children to. The environment. You have to save the environment. What the hell is the environment? What does that mean? I grew up in northern Alberta. What was the environment? You go out in the bush in the spring in northern Alberta, you'll run smack dab into the environment, all right. Clouds of mosquitoes and black flies. You'll be one miserable little primate, no time flat. Isn't it beautiful? Yeah. It's like it is if it's what would you call it? An impressionist painting of the French countryside.
Yes. Yeah. I'm from Australia. A lot of deadly animals. They're not fun.
Yeah. Nature. Right. Nobody lives in Australia, right? Except on the coast, clinging to the edge of the continent because everything else is so formidable.
I've heard that in Ireland they have now forbidden people to build fireplaces in their house.
There's lots of cities. There's lots of cities that are doing that. Well, they're trying to ban gas appliances. For the same reason, Montreal in Canada, they were going to ban the wood-burning ovens that there's a Jewish community in Montreal that's very long-standing, and they make excellent bagels. They're famous, like New York bagels. Montreal bagels are famous too. And they cook them in wood-burning ovens. They did the same thing in New York with the pizza ovens. You can't have a wood-burning fireplace. It's like... So these bloody nature worshippers, they'll take everything from you. Do you know what the C40 consortium is?
No. I've heard of it, but I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, well, they're a lot of fun. You can look them up. Yeah. It's a consortium of municipalities, 40 of the biggest cities in the world. They've all signed on to this. Okay. So what's their agenda? You can't even believe this is true. Like, it sounds like a conspiracy theory. Yeah. I've read the documents like 3 times because I read them and then 2 months later I think, there's no bloody way that can be right. 1 short haul flight per person every 3 years. right? 95% reduction in private automobile ownership. You know this idea we're going to have electric cars?
Yeah.
Everyone knows the grid can't withstand that. So what's the plan? You don't need a car, buddy.
Yeah. Stay where you
You
are.
ordinary person, you don't need a car. That's way too much. You're cluttering up the planet. No meat consumption.
I know.
No meat consumption.
I'm in
right?
Europe right now, and everywhere we go, it feels like people are evangelizing veganism to us.
Yeah. Well, and finally, 3 items of clothing a year. That's their plan.
No.
Absolutely. 100%.
3 items of clothing.
C40. 3 items of clothing. How much bloody clothing do you need? The planet's at stake. And you need to drive? What makes you so special?
Yeah.
What puts you above the rats and the weeds? Exactly.
Stay home, watch porn, and get Uber Eats from the electric car and just shut up, maybe.
Yeah. Well, you get Uber Eats. What are you going to get? You're roasted what?
Mushrooms? Soy.
Yeah, so you can grow breasts as a man.
Also, a massive thanks to Hallow for sponsoring this podcast. Hallow.com/Matt Fradd is where you want to go if you want to try out their entire app for 3 months for free. It is an absolutely fantastic app. They actually have all of my audio podcasts on there right now, so you can listen to them over there. They have Catholic lo-fi, meditation, amazing stuff. Hallow.com/Matt Fradd to get 3 months for free. Hey, thanks so much for watching this clip. If you want to watch more clips of me chatting with Jordan Peterson, click these videos somewhere here on this screen.